Hey folks, welcome again to another Tuesday night on Facebook Live with Piedmont Legacy Group. And tonight we have our special guest, Catherine Bornak from Helms Mortgage. Catherine and I have known each other for quite some time, and she has helped me out tremendously on several different types of loans for my buyers.
Thanks, Tim.
And so we've had some, we've had some talks and thought issues that we may, certain issues that, buyers come up with, that they may feel like they can't get the loan, or just in general questions. So I thought it'd be a great idea to have Catherine come in tonight. I'll ask her a few questions. We'll talk about some different scenarios and hopefully enlighten some of you on different types of loan packages or different scenarios in which Catherine has miraculously come in and saved the day. So, Catherine, would you maybe tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Catherine Bornak. I'm with Helms Mortgage. I've been a mortgage lender in Winston for about 15 years. Helms Mortgage is a locally owned and locally operated mortgage brokerage. So we're a little bit different, and we specialize in helping people solve problems that they can't solve any other way. We like to treat our clients like family and make sure that we solve the problems that they have and find the best products for them every time.
Excellent. Catherine is my go-to girl, especially when I have any buyers that come to me with unique situations, or perhaps they come to me and they say, well, I wanted to get a loan, but, and I say, you know what, just stop right there, pick your phone up and call Catherine, she'll save the day. And I gotta say, most of the time Catherine comes through. So we'll get started, and I'll just kind of quiz you a little bit. Maybe you can, yeah, maybe these questions relate to some of you folks out there. So let's start by just talking about maybe some common reasons that borrowers are turned down by other lenders or problems that they face.
Sure. So sometimes, not all the time, but often I'm the second or third lender on a loan. And it's an interesting position to be in, because by the time people come to me, they've had several lenders tell them no already. So I've heard these stories over and over again. And some of the typical reasons people find that other lenders or other banks won't work with them is they tell them that their credit scores are too low, or that they have insufficient income, or that they're self-employed for less than 2 years, that sort of stuff. So those are common misconceptions. People get in the marketplace ready to buy a house, and they find out that their bank or their credit union that they've been going to won't lend to them for one of those reasons. And those aren't the typical guidelines. Those are bank overlays. And so since we're a broker, we don't have the overlays. We underwrite directly to the servicer's guidelines. So what that means for the buyer is, for example, I had a client recently who'd been turned down by 3 different lenders because their credit score was below 620. And they were being told that they couldn't get a loan because their credit score was too low. And the fact of the matter is that FHA's minimum credit score is 580, not 620. So I was able to do their loan for them with a credit score of 586 and get them closed inside of 30 days when other lenders can't do that. Other times when we've solved problems have been for people who are self-employed, they've been to, I had a client recently who couldn't get a loan because she'd owned her company for less than 2 years. And she'd been told by 3 banks that she couldn't get a house. Well, I said, just show me your tax returns, let's see what you've got going on. When I looked at her tax returns, I found she had more than sufficient income to buy a house. And the actual underwriting guideline on that is if you're self-employed for more than 12 months and less than 24 months, it's underwriter discretion. So I get to look at somebody's situation and see if they have enough income to qualify, and then present a case to the underwriter that helps them make a decision.
Fantastic. So what about, you talked about some self-employed buyers. What about buyers who maybe have been through bankruptcy, foreclosure, short sales? How does that work?
So this is an interesting problem that, if you've been around more than 10 years, you understand what happened in the market in 2008, and a lot of people went through bankruptcy or foreclosure. So the interesting part about where the market is now is people are sort of coming out of that and reestablishing themselves credit-wise and looking to buy houses. So oftentimes people have the misconception that they have to wait 7 years after foreclosure to buy a house, or a certain number of years after bankruptcy to buy a house. They may think that their credit has suffered from it. The reality is there are specific guidelines designed for people in these situations. So FHA will allow you to buy a house 3 years after a foreclosure.
Okay.
VA will allow you to buy a house 2 years after a foreclosure. What people don't realize, and this is an interesting way that I've been able to help a lot of people, is if you've been through bankruptcy and you included your house in the bankruptcy and it was discharged as part of the bankruptcy and you surrendered the house at the time of the bankruptcy, we get to follow the bankruptcy timelines instead of the foreclosure timelines. Most lenders don't know that.
Cool. That's very good. So what about buyers, and I get this question a lot, people, and it's especially a big trend today, people want to buy a home and they want to renovate it. It's an older home. They've got these grand ideas of what they want to do. So, how does somebody finance that along with the renovations into the home, even if it's like an REO?
I love this question. If you've been in the market at all and you've looked at REOs, otherwise known as real estate owned properties, those are bank owned properties. A lot of times when you look at a house that's bank owned, part of the deal is the bank will only take a cash buyer. Well, the exception to that is if you present a contract that's written as an FHA 203K or a home style renovation loan. What that means is you can buy a house in any condition at all and we can finance the renovations in. What I would say is if you're going to do that, you want to make sure that you allow ample time because you have to find the contractors and get the contractors approved and the estimates approved. But let's use a real world example. You find a house that's a foreclosure and it's $100,000 and it needs $200,000. It needs $100,000 worth of work to be livable and it's going to be worth $225,000 when it's done. We finance that $200,000 for you. The $100,000 for the purchase, the $100,000 for the renovations, and then we make sure to do inspections along the way to make sure the work is getting done up to code properly and help you pay the contractors out of that additional $100,000. It's something we do all the time. It's a great solution. And when you look at the areas around Winston-Salem where you can get the best deals, a lot of those houses need a little bit of work. And so instead of, passing on a house that might need a new kitchen or a new bathroom or a deck or anything else, a renovation loan is a good way to buy that house.
Fantastic. So not only can Catherine help you get the loan, but also real estate assistant myself can help you find the people to do those renovations and help you get through that process. So not only are we helping you buy the home, but we're also helping you get through that renovation process as well. So if you're going to give your best advice to anybody thinking about buying a home, and we run through this a lot, we run into a lot of people, they're already shopping for a home, but they really haven't figured out their finances, they haven't researched mortgage lenders or how they're going to pay for it. And in my scenario, I always recommend them to you, but what's your best advice for people you're thinking about buying a home?
So I would say don't be shy about talking to your mortgage lender. A lot of times people make the mistake of waiting until after they've been house shopping to talk to a lender. Or they might just call their personal banker and say, do I qualify? The issue is you need to get a full pre-approval. So what I would say to folks who are thinking about buying a house is take the time, talk to a lender, call me, Helms Mortgage, go to bornacmortgage.com. Fill out the online application. I'm going to take a full look at your credit report and tell you what's out there and what you need to do. Most often, I'm able to tell people within 24 hours what they qualify for, what they can buy, and give them a couple good options. Every once in a while, or somewhat frequently, we run into folks who need a little bit of help and a little bit of work to get there. And in that situation, I look at their credit report, I talk to them about their finances, we help construct a plan for getting to where they can buy a house. So my best advice to you if you're looking to buy a house is probably visit annualcreditreport.com or Credit Karma, sign up to look at your credit report, be knowledgeable about what's on there so that you're not surprised when you talk to your lender. And then don't be shy about talking to a couple lenders and getting good options for how to buy a house.
Fantastic. One of the things I really love about Catherine is that when I refer clients to her, she really goes through the entire process with them. Prior to really saying, hey, go shop with Tim, you can buy this house or this house, she really goes through the whole process and she gets all their information and she really clarifies, hey, what do you need to do in order to put yourself in a position to put an offer in on a house. And with low inventory these days, it's important to be prepared and ready to make that offer when you're shopping with your agent, maybe me.
Hopefully, Tim.
Yeah, hopefully me. But and I really like that about Catherine. She's not just throwing out pre-qual letters. She's really figuring out, hey, are you ready to buy a house? Are you financially ready to buy a house? And if not, how can we get you there as fast as possible? And she's so knowledgeable, and I just think that's fantastic. Everything requires a foundation. Whether you're buying a house, whether you're starting a business, whether you're having a family, it doesn't matter. Everything requires a solid foundation, and I think Catherine is certainly a huge step in that direction. So Is there anything else that you want to add? Or?
No, I appreciate that, Tim. What I would say is Tim makes a really good point that's sort of lost on a lot of the first-time home buyers in the market right now, is you don't have time to not have a pre-approval ready when you go house shopping. You don't. There's competitive bids on almost every house that's out there. It's also not a great time to be trying to lowball offers on houses because you're going to not get the house. So you want to go in with a pre-approval, not just a pre-qualification letter, and you want to be ready to make a full-priced offer if at all possible. So what we're a little bit different, and Tim alluded to, is we don't do pre-qualifications, we do pre-approvals. And that means when I talk with you, I'm going to get all of your information up front so there's no surprises in underwriting. I'll send you a checklist of the things that we need to know. I'll make sure that we gather those things from you. I'll make sure to review your income and assets with you to make sure that I know everything that we need to know prior to you buying a house so that there's no surprises in underwriting and it's smooth sailing.
So on that, I'll tell you a little bit of curveball. Some people I've come to have maybe already gone to a lender.
Sure.
And they feel like maybe their credit's been checked or something like that. And so they have a fear of maybe going to another lender. Right. Oh, they're going to hit my credit again. My credit score is going to go down because they checked my credit. Can you talk a little bit about how that works?
I can. I'd like to. So that's a common misconception. So the way it's set up, and this is the way it's set up, please, I hope it actually works this way, is the federal government wants to encourage you to shop for a mortgage. So that means that within a 30-day window, if you have multiple inquiries into your credit by mortgage lenders and a mortgage results within, let's say, 60 or 90 days from that, those multiple inquiries are treated as one. Now, people often misunderstand the decrease in their credit score as being caused by multiple credit inquiries. That's not what's going on. If your credit score comes down a little bit when you're buying a house, it's because once you've bought that house, you've maxed out a new credit line. Mm-hmm. And so that's the temporary decline in your credit score that you're going to see when you buy a house. It's not caused by those inquiries. So what I would say is if you have recently talked to another lender, a credit union or a bank or whomever, and you're a little worried about having your credit pulled, give me a call. We'll talk about what you know about your credit. I'll look at what you already know. We might look at your Credit Karma report together, but I would say ultimately it's not going to be a big impact when I pull your score, and we're going to want to do that so I have all the right information to do your pre-approval.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to say thank you for coming in and hopefully answering a lot of questions that our folks had about buying a home. And I just want to encourage folks out there, if you're thinking about buying a home, if you're in the process of buying a home, and we didn't answer your questions today, feel free to reach out to us, Piedmont Legacy Group at Realty One. Feel free to reach out to Catherine, ask your questions, get to know us. We are professionals in this area, and we can certainly get you down the right path. So with that being said, everyone have a fantastic night. Thanks again.
Thank you.